Well, good morning, whatnot seller. It's your first day in the advanced sellers. You get up in the morning, you come downstairs to apply all the knowledge that you learned in the advanced seller teases. Well, this is the first step in that. Go get dressed. I'm not joking. Go get dressed. Do your hair. Comb your beard. Make sure your back hairs are straight and don't get caught up in your clothing. And act like you're going to run a multi-million-dollar corporation. Almost said multimedia. Act like you're going to run a multi-million-dollar corporation. Because if you remember your work time and you remember the mindset of the heads of your corporations, most of them were very focused on what was going on. Most of them had a general appearance of neatness and preparedness for the day. My daughter was very sickly as a child. She still is, kind of, but she's full grown, as big as she'll get. And she had this one doctor, and it didn't matter what time I saw him, whether it was 5:30 in the morning, whether it was 6:30 in the afternoon. He's a tall man of German heritage. His last name was actually a version of a German. But anyway, he always had this clean, neat appearance, and so did his nurse, no matter what time I saw them. And we spent so much time with them that you actually get to almost know them a little bit. And you realize that their level of organization and preparation for him to ply his trade was intense. And sometimes it would make me think about the sacrifices his family would make because of the time involved. Think about it like that. You're running a multi-million-dollar corporation. You're just in your first quarter. I never thought I'd be where I am on Whatnot. And it took two of us to get here. And it took a lot of hours. But now we are able to spread lessons. Well, I am able to spread the lessons that we learned along the way. So, get dressed. That's your first step of every day. All right, so I'm back. I am dressed and I am ready to start my day. I'm going after customer service first. To me, customer service is the most important aspect of the job that is ancillary, meaning it's a necessary portion of the main thing. So if we were talking about gear, it'd be something you needed to make the gear work. Like you need a rammer if you have an artillery piece. All right, so I'm checking customer service. I don't have any complaints. I don't have any cancellation requests. If I have other venues that I sell on, and I do, I have several platforms and marketplaces I use, I need to check all of those too, because people from Whatnot may communicate with you through those other means occasionally, and they will say, hey, I'm Johnny Banger 540 on Whatnot here communicating with you on eBay, what's going on with this item. Very important. Knock that customer service out right away. And I will tell you, unless it's going to cost you a fortune, be amicable in how you treat cancellations. It will build rapport over time, even if it costs you that sale that you were really banking on to pay that bill. I know that's hard to say. You have to make your own choices. But I'll take the karma, and it seems to work. All right, so I got customer service out of the way. Now, I'm not going to continue at my computer. All right, I need to get up, and I need to go over to the space that I ship from. And the space that I ship from is not necessarily where I'm sitting with the box when it gets its label and taped up, because that's going to be near the computer or near where my computer and scale team are. What I'm talking about is, where does the product go after you sell it? We can cut a lot of your shipping time out, by being organized, and we can cut a lot of your complaints out by being organized. I'm in Studio D. I have a lot of smalls here, so I'm using my small, long, thin bins. I'm not saying that's the best way to do it. As a matter of fact, it has some drawbacks. Once that customer buys a bigger thing or grows out of that bin, it's already reserved a size slot on the table because the bins are stacked side by side. So there are some drawbacks to how I do things. Usually if that happens, I take that bin, I stick it in the box with their other thing, and I move it to another location. All right. One of the reasons why this is helpful to me is, I don't know if you know it yet, but your shipments are in order of the person's first purchase in your show. So what does that translate to in real speak? Well, the very first person that you sold a thing to, their name is at the bottom of your shipments list. And the very last individual that you sold something to, unless they had already bought something, is at the very top of the list when it's presented to you. So what I do is I look at the old or I look at the bottom to the top, because I know my stuff is in order from wherever I started over there from the bottom, and then it goes up to the top. So I look at it and I say, all right, what's the weight on these packages? And I make an evaluation of whether or not I should take smalls first. All right. If you're new, you don't take anything out of order. You start either at the top of the list and work your way down, or you start at the bottom of the list and you work your way up. And the reason why you do that when you're new is you don't want to make any mistakes. And it's much easier to make mistakes if you change up the order of a list that's already presented to you. So when we were new, we would start at the bottom of the list, which would correspond to the bin closest to us on the tables, and we would just pack them as we went. Now I'm an advanced seller. I have flows for everything, and now I do a lot of things by size. So basically, at the end of a show, I'll walk over to the bins and I'll look at them. And I can usually tell what's going to be ground and what's going to be priority. Anything that's ground less than 1 pound, I'll go ahead and put into its box or padded mailer, and I add whatever I'm going to add in at the time. Then I look at what's going to be priority and go in a single box that I don't have to do a bunch of finagling to get it fit in there. I put all those in the box I'm going to ship them in. And I transfer all their labels to the bags and to the boxes as I'm doing this. And then I start shipping the smalls. I do the smalls first because their bin takes up more space than the product does. And I need the space to be able to form the larger packages. So I clear my smalls out first. I get them all shipped out. I send out a packing slip with every one of them. Sometimes things happen, but I try to send it out with every one of them, and I get it out in the box, and it's out of my way. It's not stored where I pack the packages. It's in a separate place away from where I'm packing and where I'm processing. All right, and then I've got all my smalls done, which usually results in a bag or box with a bunch of poly mailers in it, maybe some small cardboard boxes. Then I work on the USPS priority mailers. So now I'm going to be dealing with 14 by 12 by 3s, 12 and a quarter, 12 and a quarter by 8 and a halves. And the other size I commonly use is 7 and a quarter, 7 and a quarter, 8 and a half. You should have those things around. They are very helpful and they save you a lot of money on boxes. I ship all those out. And for me, sometimes I have product that will fit in 2 different size boxes. I'll always use that which is easiest for a human to manipulate. Because the amount of trips, shaking this table, the amount of trips you or your employee needs to take into the post office is relative to your level of profit. I don't know what that was. It's relative to your level of profit and to how much abuse it puts on your back. If you've got a part-timer helping you a few days a week, a couple hours a day, you want to get the most you can out of that, because they need to be generating work generating product or time that would allow you to make at least double in profit what it takes to pay them, because you got to get a piece too, or it's not going to work out over the long run. So I use a lot of priority stuff. I try to keep it where I can cut down my trips. I don't need to take as many trips inside the post office. Then I start packing the big ones. And I have to do a lot of custom boxes and things like that. But it's worth it, because when I do custom boxes, I can get a lot of stuff into a box and then cut its height down. And it doesn't cost me anything to ship it then. So remember that. And when you're running into shipping overages, can you reduce the overall height of the box? If you can, do it. You cut down the sides, you fold it. I'll do a tutorial if people need it. I'm not sure. But that's a good way to save money on the shipping side. All right, so I've reset the center, everything over there. So basically, that's an artillery term. The way a cannon works, it can go left, right, it can go up, down. There is an optimum place where it sits that if you got a fire mission in, you are as close as you can be to everything on there where you could possibly shoot. That's resetting to your center. So you're going to reset your center over there so that when you start your show, which is your version of the fire mission, every round you send down range, which is your bin or sold product, gets put into a place where you can manage it. Now, resetting the center also brings you back over here in front of your computer. Right where you do your data entry, right where you run your shows. Clean the space where you run the show. Put everything back, all your packing materials, throw your trash away, get your labels for the things that are in the other room, go take them and put them on the things, get everything ready to go. Make sure this is a workable space. And then you're ready to start putting things into the system. You put them in the way you want to. I don't need to tell you how to do that. Actually, I'm not good at training that stuff because I'm not a technology person. I don't even know what all the things are called sometimes. But I know how to create systems. And I know how to create processes to eliminate errors. And any error you can eliminate over there in your shipping area by making sure everything is clean, having an organization system for how your things are going to go over there. Not everybody needs to use a bin. Some of y'all have stuff where you're going to hang it on a hanger over there. You need to get a tag that goes on the hanger and set, if you don't do each item listing separately, you'll need to have a tag that says this was random pull 1, random pull 2, random pull 3, all that stuff. All right, so you've done that. You're setting up over here. You've logged in all your stuff, all your items. You spent hours and hours researching and doing all the proper things to have the best show you can do. All right, no matter if you're buy it now or if you're auction, if you do not have a plan for the first 15 to 20 minutes of your engagement with the customers, shit will go awry. And there's a backwards planning process from your live time, and it's about an hour. All right, so 5 minutes before your live time, you should be returning to your workstation and looking over the electronic communication devices you have in front of you and making sure that the items you have lined up are in the proper order. Turn your music on, get OBS turned on, get ready. Take your breath, launch your show. All right, so to be there 5 minutes before your show, you have to do the backwards planning, figure out how long it takes you to do the things. I have to go to the bathroom. I'm going to smoke a cigarette before a show. So by 15 minutes prior to my show, I'm in my 10 minutes of taking care of what I need to take care of so that when the show starts, I can run it. So that's 15 minutes prior. In the 30 minutes prior to the 15 minutes prior, all right, so 30 minutes before the show time, you need to spend 15 minutes setting up the things that you are going to run for the first about 15 or 20 items. You are going to lose people due to ADHD. If you are slow, you will lose more of them. The more products you can get out and show in the first 15 to 20 minutes will be key to your audience retention. Sorry, I had chip beef this morning. It's aggravating me. He'd be fighting back. Then, the 30 minutes to the 1 hour before your show. You should be straightening up your show materials. All right? You're going to straighten up all that stuff over there. You're going to review your first 15 to 20 auctions. You're going to move them over here into the workspace where you do your displays. So, for example, as you can see, my camera's a little messed up, but I have a show space that has a separate camera in Studio D. So just outside the view of this, I will begin making a stack of 15 to 20 items. Sometimes it'll flow off the table onto an upside down box or something. It doesn't matter how you get it there. It just needs to be ready so that you're not making any movements other than putting the stuff in the bin. You're not walking over there to figure out what you're going to do next. You know the first 15 or 20 things. During that preparation time, you should be getting your head in the zone. You know, I am so-and-so. I can such and such. I will this result. Whatever it is that motivates you, or whatever it is that you have to do to calm you down. So, use your full name for this technique I'm about to show you. It's a mind clearing technique. Use your full name, and you start out, you breathe in, and as you're breathing out, you say, I am Wise E. Man. I am Wise E. Man. Then, after a couple of those, or few, then you shorten it a little bit. I am Wise Man. I am Wise Man. And then you get your first name only. I am wise. I am wise. And if you focus on that meditation technique, you're only focusing on saying your name. You're only focusing on the presentation of your name. A lot of the things that were driving you crazy in the background that you were anticipating or worried about, or something that's not whatnot related, well, they won't dissipate, but they will be pushed back a little bit because the bulk of your mind is trying to focus on this one thing. So when you do that and you use the mind clearing, that's as soon as the mind is clear, you stop, and that's when you start working on all this stuff. Get yourself into your proper headspace for this event. If I'm not in the proper headspace, if I don't feel well, if I can't stand up because my back's jacked up, I'm having a bad day, I just read a message from somebody complaining about something outside my control. There's all these things. I got to clear those out, because if I don't, it will affect my performance. All right. I am Wise Man. Welcome to the initial opening of basically what amounts to advanced seller training and reminders. Because most of you, if you're getting to the level where you're thinking about premier status, oh, sorry, I did not mean to leave that on. If you're thinking about premier status, it could be time. Yeah, it could be time for you to take your game to the next level. All right, we'll talk to you later in the next episode. Take care and be kind to your customers and yourself.